What's going on? Just getting all my streams up and stuff like that. Today we're going to be covering my experience with the Microsoft Azure Fundamentals exam, so AZ-900. Let me just double check Periscope and YouTube to make sure we're up and running, and then we can get into it. So, let's see. I'll go back over here. See. Yep, okay. YouTube is looking good. And let me go check Periscope real quick. All right, I think we're looking good there. So, hey everybody, hope everybody's doing good. Having a good week. Let's just hop into this and let's see. We'll go back over here and I will bring my stuff up. So, as you guys saw, like a week or so ago, I did a Azure Fundamentals AZ-900 practice test video where we kind of went to the Microsoft website, went through all of the knowledge check questions that they had there. I went and scheduled my exam. I think, let's see, what is today? Today's Thursday. I had the exam yesterday. It was the same, Pearson VUE, at-home testing thing, so all that stuff that we've covered before. So that was all extremely straightforward and just like all the other exams that I've done the past few months. So there wasn't really anything different from that perspective. Some interesting things, though, with the exam itself. I've never taken a Microsoft exam before. So there were a few things that I was pretty surprised with, and it's actually from a positive perspective. So the exam itself was, I want to say 31 questions, right? And I think you had 60 minutes or maybe 90 minutes total to read through all of the pre-test stuff and all that jazz, right? But so it's 31 questions, but the types of questions were kind of interesting because I haven't necessarily seen exams that were quite like that. The main thing that kind of threw me off was that they did a lot of questions where they would give you different statements, and you had to choose whether or not the statement was correct or not. But the interesting thing with those was that you got credit for each part of those that was correct. So it would be one question with 3 different statements, and let's say you got 2 of those statements correct, you would actually get 2 points for that, versus some other vendors and their tests that I've seen in the past. If you don't get all of the answers correct, you would get no credit. And I actually thought that that was a great way to handle it. I figure it's a lot more fair, right? I mean, so if you don't know all the answers, but you know some of the answers, you should get some credit for that. It shouldn't just be an automatic, incorrect answer. So I thought that was really cool. There were some multiple choice questions as well, where you had to select, out of these 4 things, which 2 things go with X. And those were partial credit answers as well. So I thought, again, that's a really nice way for Microsoft to handle that. As I said, since I haven't taken any other Microsoft courses, I'm not necessarily sure if they do that throughout all their exams, or if this was more something that they do on their entry-level exams to try to, make it a little bit more, I don't want to say easier, but more equitable for folks that are trying to get in and understand their products. So I thought that was great. Some other interesting things with the way that the questions were laid out. They had some questions where you would have a GUI and you would have to pick which area of the GUI, or I should say an image of the GUI. It wasn't actual real interactive GUI. But, you pick which area of the GUI answers whatever the question is. So, hey, if you needed to do X, where on this page would you select? And then, they had different things labeled with different numbers or letters or whatever, and you could click in any of those areas, and that would be your answer. So That was kind of cool. Um, there was some matching definition type of thing where you have some words on one side and then definitions on the other, and you got to match them over. Again, you would get partial credit for getting the right answers, even if you didn't get the whole thing correct. So overall, from the exam perspective and the way that they lay that out, I think that that is awesome. Um, Really one of the better laid out exams that I've seen in a long time. Um, and also, one other thing with that to kind of take into that. So, like I said, it was 31 questions, but a lot of these questions had, um, multiple statements that you had to answer. So, in reality, it actually was a lot more than 31 questions. So, um, just keep that in the back of your mind when you go to take that. I'm trying to think anything else. Um, let's take a look at how I did. This is my score report. So got you need a 700 to pass. I got a 838, which I think is solid. I don't know what the max score on that is, if it's like 1,000 or if it's 900. I'm not sure. As we saw on the Microsoft page where they break down all of the different areas, remember when we went through and did these questions, they had 4 different learning paths. You see how those equate to these areas here, and they kind of give you a percentage of how much each of those made up of the test. You see the area that I was weakest in was the understanding Azure pricing and support. But I think I still did pretty good on that. So that's cool that they actually give you the scoring report, and you can take this and go back and correct or refocus on areas that you need to if you were to not pass it. But again, I think this exam, it's not a hard exam at all. There is a lot of topics that you need to be familiar with. So I have never used Azure before. I've never even logged in. I have no minimal experience with it at all. I was kind of familiar with different cloud topics per se. So, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, I understood all of that. Redundancy, resiliency, fault tolerance, things along that, in those veins. Hold on one second. I'm just going to see if we have any comments coming through. Oh, okay. Yep, got some comments coming through. Let's throw these up on here. Sorry about that. I heard the comments popping up, but I couldn't find the window where they were. So, we got, appreciate that. Thanks for joining. Here's a good question. So, how much time did I spend getting prepared? So, I took the Microsoft 2-day course, which really was like 3 hours each day. And that was a course where once you take that, then they give you the free voucher. So I took that, man, that was a long time ago. I want to say that was back in maybe May or something along that lines. And it took forever for them to send me the voucher. It was like pulling teeth. So that kind of sucked, honestly. But I ended up getting it, and then I kind of put it off because I started going down the path of all those Juniper certs that I've been doing. But I think the voucher is only good for a certain amount of time. I think it was going to expire in the fall. So I knew that I had to refocus and do that. So once I decided to kind of re-engage with that, I want to say that I spent maybe 2 or 3 weeks from the point where I decided I was going to do it actually studying. And that was going back through that Azure Fundamental website, going through all of these different sections here, going through and doing the knowledge checks at the end, doing different practice tests. I really tried to find practice tests that weren't exam dumps because I didn't really want that. I want stuff that was going to challenge me, but not, automatically be the answers, and then you're just memorizing that stuff because I didn't think there was going to be any real value to that, especially because I was doing this really to put out the content to help other people, that wanted to get in and get the certificate. So yeah, I'd say about 3 weeks or so of heavy study to get ready for it. Let's see, another comment here. Um, all right, are you able to flag questions? Yes, you are able to flag questions. You can go back and forth. You can review at the end. So that's not a problem. Then at the end of the exam, they actually give you a chance to review or flag isn't the right type of word. If you have issues with the way that certain questions are written, um, after you submit all your answers for the final time, they allow you to go back and comment on any of the questions that they have. Um, they make it clear, though, that you can't go back and alter any of your answers, but they at least give you the ability to provide feedback if you think something was miswritten or unfair or something like that. I didn't really run into any issues with that. I think all of the questions and stuff like that were pretty straightforward and made sense. So didn't have any issues in that regard. All right, let's see. I think that was it for all the comments at the moment. Oh. Let's see. Yeah, most definitely. I thought that was kind of cool too. I don't know that they necessarily. I think they even said they're like, yeah, your specific information will be passed back to them, but I don't think that they would reach out directly to you. I mean, I guess maybe there's some really, really, really unique scenarios where they might, but in general, I think that they're just trying to improve the exam. And like I said, I had absolutely no issues with the exam at all from the layout and questions and stuff like that. A lot of times you'll get some vendors exams, Cisco. I'm sorry, where it's kind of a lot of trick questions, and it really sucks, especially for new people that are really trying to get in and get the certificate because it's going to help them, maybe get a new position and establish themselves. And it's I don't know. You second guess yourself because a lot of times people will feel like they actually understand the information, but then you take the test and it's kind of some trick questions and stuff like that. And I don't know, for how much certain vendors charge for exams, I think that's a little disingenuous, and yeah, not really a nice way to treat people that are trying to get into the industry. Compared to this, where I thought that the fact that they give you partial credit for answers was awesome, and I think all vendors should do that. Let's see. Let me add this. Would I recommend the cert for networking people? Yeah, I don't think that there's an issue with that, especially if you can get the training through Microsoft for free. I think you get the training for free and you get the voucher for free. So if that's the case and you're able to do that, then there's no reason why you wouldn't want to do that. I think for networking people, it's important to understand cloud concepts. So even if you were never going to touch Azure, which is probably my case, I don't work anywhere that uses Azure. I don't see myself being in a situation where I'm going to be using Azure. I still think that the majority of the information that's in there is valuable. And from what I've read, Amazon has pretty much the same types of services. And we'll get to services here in a little bit because the services are an important part. Amazon has the same types of services, they just have different names. So if you can understand these different types of services and how they kind of relate to the different types of things that they're trying to sell, or ways that they help with administration of the different services, then I think that that's just useful knowledge to have, because you never know when you might end up in a situation where that provides you some value. I will say that I am finishing the rest, those other two Juniper Associate certs, so going for all 5 of the JNCIA certs. The one that I'm doing right now that I just started last night is their cloud cert, and there is an awful lot of overlap there. So maybe if you're a networking person and you're looking for a cloud cert, that maybe you want to go that way. The training for the Juniper stuff is free. They did just change the way that they're doing their voucher, so you don't get the free voucher anymore. It's 75% off. That's still pretty good because a cert normally is $200, so I think it's only $50 if you're going to do that. So maybe that will be on a better path, since that actually really is going to hit more on the virtualized networking portions than the Microsoft Azure Fundamentals does. But I'll let you know here in a few weeks, because I hope to kind of crush through that and throw up some practice videos and stuff like that. But right off the bat, to me, that seems like another viable path if you're a networking person and you want to know a little bit about cloud stuff. Let's see, got a few more questions that came in. What am I looking to do next? Yeah, just kind of mentioned. So the next stuff is going to be the last two Juniper certs. So we're going to do the cloud one next, and then the last one will be the DevOps one, which will be more of a heavy lift for me. So since I don't really do too much DevOps work and or scripting, that one will actually be one that I'll have to study a pretty decent amount to kind of get caught up to speed on all that stuff. But I'm looking forward to it. Let's see, a few more comments I'll throw on here. Just got my CCNA in January. I didn't second guess as much. I never really felt tricked either. Awesome. I hope that they've improved that, because I know that back when I took my Cisco certs, that was definitely something that a lot of people complained about. But I haven't taken Cisco certs in a long time. I did my CCNA back in 2006, and then got my CCNP in 2007, and then was doing the CCIE written exams up until maybe 2012 or 2013. But, you know, everyone always talks about how hard those exams are, and that's because there's a lot of technical knowledge in there. It's not just memorizing, definitions and stuff like that. But, in the past, they have been known to kind of play with words in a way which, isn't exactly the easiest thing for folks who might not be super comfortable taking certs, especially if they're just new to them. Let's see. What practice exams did I use? So all of the questions that were here, and I made a video on that, so if you want to go check that out, used all of those. And then there was another website that had practice exams called Whiz Labs. I actually thought those are really good. They weren't dumps, so that was awesome. I thought that they did a really, really good job of prepping for the questions. I want to say between these questions here and the WizLab questions, when I took the exam, I maybe saw 2 or 3 where the wording was almost the same. And so I thought that was pretty, and it wasn't exactly the same, but it was almost the same. So having, the practice tests and stuff like that not be exactly the same wording and stuff like that, I think means that you're doing a good job of, ethically going after the cert. So let's see. Not Microsoft related. Do I think that the CCNA is still worth it? Oh, 100%. CCNA is your best bang for the buck networking cert that you can get. I mean, it covers a lot of stuff. Everybody, in the industry, whether you're in the private sector or public sector, acknowledges it as a benchmark. So if you have it, you probably would be able to, get a job a lot easier than if you didn't have it. Once you kind of get established and stuff like that, then you kind of get into, do you want to stick, how can I word this? Strictly stick to Cisco, or look at other things. That's why I love all the Juniper stuff. I would highly recommend the Juniper stuff, even as a junior person, especially because of the fact the training is free and you get the voucher for the percentage off of the certs. I think that there's a lot of information in some of those Juniper certs that you don't necessarily get in the CCNA. But that's vice versa because the Juniper certs kind of already, even though they're associate level, they kind of already expect you to have a fundamental layer of understanding networking. So like a network plus, level understanding. And CCNA really kind of, builds you up from the bottom and kind of fills that in. So, yeah, I definitely still worth it. So if you are getting into networking, then definitely, definitely consider getting your CCNA. I think that was a third cert that I ever got in my career. So Network Plus, Security Plus, and then CCNA. So definitely. Let's see. Any more comments? Nope. Okay. So what were we talking about? I think I had covered the exam itself, and then so study things. So areas to make sure that you focus on. Let's see. So understanding the basic cloud technology components and stuff like that is really, really important. So understanding infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service, the differences between those, the responsibilities of both the vendor and the customer when it comes to those. Understanding the different benefits of cloud services. So a difference between capital expenditure and operational expenditure, right? CapEx, OpEx, right? Whether you're spending a lot of money up front or you're spending money month to month, right? And understanding why you would be wanting to do that one way or the other. Understanding the different models of cloud architectures, whether it's a public cloud, which is kind of what Azure is, a private cloud, which might be something that you have within your own data center, a hybrid cloud, which could be a combination of on-prem and cloud type of integration. Those are all things that you want to understand. You want to understand the difference between, scalability, redundancy, fault tolerance, high availability, elasticity, right? So the ability for whatever it is you have in the cloud to grow on demand in the event that you need more resources. Those are all things that are really important to understand. And those are all kind of just basic cloud things, right? So independent of whatever vendor you go with, those are things that you want to make sure that you understand. From the Amazon perspective, you want to make sure that you understand, let me think, their subscription models, the fact that they have free accounts. You get a $200 credit with the free account. You get a certain, I think you get, let me think about that for a second. I think you get all services for, 30 days. And then after that, you get a subset of services for 12 months. You understand, administration and subscription types of things. You want to understand all of the different services that they offer and then all of their different administrative services. And that brings me to this great diagram. And I don't know if I need to blow this up anymore. I think that probably, you can probably pick that up pretty good. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. And we'll move it down. Let's move it down a little bit. How does that look? I think that probably looks good. Okay. This diagram really, what kind of sucks is I didn't find this diagram, or if I did see it before, I didn't pay attention to it. These are the things you need to know. And the exam, for the most part, is just understanding definitions. So if you are familiar with what each of these things do, and I don't mean like in-depth familiar. I mean, just like, you know, just a very, very general definition of what it is, then you're going to do really, 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 really well on this exam. So you have like your different types of infrastructure services, right? You have your security and management stuff. And so they hit on that. You know, the portals where you manage everything. They have Azure Active Directory, which is kind of like on-prem Active Directory, but not quite as robust, right? You have multi-factor authentication. Key Vault is a place where you can input certificates and passwords and keep them encrypted, right? The store marketplace is where you can buy, you know, all of the different services within Azure. You have a whole bunch of other types of developer stuff, your different types of database services that you can have, analytics type of stuff. I mean, all of these things, it all covers back on here when you go through here. As long as you have, you know, a high level idea of what these are, the different types of storage. Blob storage is, you know, unstructured. Azure Files would be like if you had a file share and you wanted to do that. Virtual networks, load balancers, VPN gateways, application gateways. You know, these are all things that you may be asked about on the test, right? And so just being familiar with what those are is really, really helpful. And I think the thing that you'll really notice once you study for this is the way that they ask the questions. I'm trying to think how to put this. Azure does a very, very good job of making the names of their things very simple. And oftentimes in the way that they ask about something, the name of what they're asking about, or the topic of what they ask about, is kind of included in the name of what the service is. So that might help you as a mnemonic device when you're studying to realize those types of things. So yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Understanding the difference between regions and then the different types of fault tolerance within the regions and then within data centers. And yeah, I think that's probably, you know, that's probably about it, really. Like I said, though, this website and everything that they have back here going through this, going back through those questions on that video that I did is going to help you out quite a bit. So yeah, I think that probably covers everything that I wanted to talk about. If you have any other questions, hit me up. Drop some comments down below in the video or hit me up on Twitter. I'm going to check and see if there's any other comments or anything like that. Doesn't look like it. So yeah, everybody have a good rest of your week. Go get at it. We'll talk soon. Take care. All right.